Sean, tell us about how steep it is here.
Well, you're going to want to make sure your Mario Kart power sliding skills are sharp, because this turn comes out of nowhere and you could definitely die if you were running on this like we were.
Hi, this is Josh from Shamma Sandals, and today on Run With Us, we are running at Fall Creek. Fall Creek is part of the Henry Cowell State Park. Let's get going. Here we are, kind of heading into Fall Creek. The trail that we're gonna run on is the Fall Creek Trail, and we're gonna run probably up the mountain for about 3 miles or so. We're gonna find the Big Bend Tree Trail, and then we're gonna come back on the Lost Empire Trail. So Fall Creek, it's part of Henry Cowell, and Henry Cowell is a state park here in Santa Cruz County that is really big. It covers a lot of area, and it's kind of broken up by the town of Felton. Anyways, one of its great little spots is Fall Creek. You know, the great thing about Fall Creek is you're right here in this little valley, running through the redwoods. It's gorgeous in here. There's a lot of little side routes you can take on this trail, and small little trails that go right next to the creek. You know, you're running through the woods here and stuff. It's really pretty. I don't actually run here very much. I know some people that do. My wife, in fact, off and on, she's with a group that'll come up here and run on a regular basis. But it's somewhere I've come with my family a lot of times. And one of the cool things about this place, the kids will have a great time here because they can play in the creek. And then at some point we're gonna see the lime kilns. That run is about 3 miles maybe, so it's pretty small. Here we are, fork in the road. Up we go. We've been running probably 1.5 miles, maybe 2 miles. We're on the Fall Creek Trail right now, and I gotta say, so far it's really pretty in here. This is a great time of year to be here. It's December. We've had some rains recently, so the creek is flowing pretty good. Everything is just kind of coming back to life. That's the thing about Santa Cruz especially. You know, it's deadest in the fall, and it just starts coming back to life as soon as there's some rain. And that happens late, or you know, November, December. The incline so far has not been bad. It's this gradual push up the mountain, but like I said, I haven't run this before. I know at some point we're going to be running up and it's going to get real steep. So we're staying on the Fall Creek Trail, and I think we have about 1.5 miles to go till we find the Big Bend Trail. That's what we're looking for, and from there we'll head down the Lost Empire Trail. So far, been an incredible run. So we got to a really cool spot on the trail. This is the barrel mill site. So the lime that was produced here, it was a lot. The sign back here says there were 75,000 barrels of lime a year produced from the lime kilns here. And so you need barrels to store the lime in, and they would cut down redwood trees, and they would use this machine here to make the end of the barrel, and then another machine was ripping the boards that were going to be on the sides of the barrel, and then they were taken down the hill and somebody assembled them, and then they were loaded up with lime. This happened from like 1910 to 1925, something like that.
1912, not 1910.
And just really cool to see this old machine sitting here in the forest. It was originally powered by the creek. We've seen this a couple times on the trail. The trail is washed out, like a section of the trail, because it's running along the canyon here. And some points you just have to scramble. And right here, I think the best way through, I either have to climb down off the trail there, somehow scramble up that way, or go over here. I'm getting flashbacks of the movie Goonies, when the one kid greases the log and then the bad guy is following and he does the splits right onto the log. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Here we go. It's way up high. Okay, we're good. We've been running on the Fall Creek Trail for quite a while now. We're about to hit a fork in the road. We're gonna look for the Big Bend Trail right now. So we've been on the Big Bend Trail for a while. We kept following it up the creek and it just turned into nothing. The trail was awful. It was covered with trees and we finally had to turn around. There was no discernible trail at one point. And we were on our way back. We're gonna possibly just go back down the Fall Creek Trail, and we saw this trail here on our right coming down here. So we thought, let's give it a shot. We're gonna see. Hopefully we can find the Lost Empire Trail. So we made it to the Big Bend tree. This last 1.5 or 2 miles basically has been just devastatingly hard. There's always one of these in our runs. We basically ran to the ridge of the Santa Cruz Mountains here. We're pretty close to Bonnie Dune, I imagine, at this point. So after we got to the Big Bend tree, we've been running downhill since. So at the Big Bend tree, we were basically on the ridge. When we actually did find the right trail, it wasn't marked, which is unfortunate that there wasn't like a sign just saying go left here up to the Big Bend tree. It would have been really helpful, but it was well groomed. It's in good shape. When we were going through Fall Creek and looking underneath the redwoods, everything was like a darker green. And as soon as we got above it and looked down on the creek, you could see like the top of the redwoods, and it was a much lighter green color everywhere. That was one interesting thing.
Sean, tell us about how steep it is here.
Well, you're gonna wanna make sure your Mario Kart power sliding skills are sharp, because this turn comes out of nowhere and you could definitely die if you were running on this like we were.
It's gotta be how far? 200 feet?
Yeah, it's 200 feet at least.
Easy. Yeah. Tread lightly here. I believe that we are headed back to the lime kilns right now. From the lime kilns, we're gonna take the trail down through the creek and it'll meet up with the Fall Creek Trail, and from there it'll probably be another mile and a half back to the parking lot. Here we are at the lime kilns, and this is actually one of my family's favorite little hikes. If we're ever looking for something that's not too bad, it's about 1.5 miles from the parking lot up to the lime kilns, and you're along the creek the whole way. When you get to the lime kilns, it's a great place. You can climb up the lime kilns and look around on the top. And what these things were used for was from the 1870s to about 1919. They would blast the hillside up there and they'd get the lime, they'd put it in the kilns, and they would take 70 cords of redwood, and over 2 days they would bake the lime at a really high heat in order to make the lime for the mortar and plaster in concrete. And it was used a bunch after the 1906 earthquake to rebuild San Francisco. What ended up putting this thing out of business was actually oil. When they had oil-fired lime kilns by 1919, they didn't need to cut down huge numbers of trees in order to make the lime. And that's great, because we don't need to cut down these beautiful redwood trees in order to produce that lime now. So anyways, great spot, check it out. So we just crossed over the bridge coming down from the lime kilns behind us. So when we started our run, when we took the Fall Creek Trail, we actually took a right. So we have about a mile to go till we get back to the parking lot. We're back in Fall Creek proper, and It's awesome down here. We did it. We got to the end of this run. We're back at the parking lot. I have to say, it's been an incredible run. We've seen incredible views. The creek was beautiful, the mountains. It was a hard run. The Big Bend Trail was just brutal. Everything else though was very manageable. In any case, I hope you liked running at Fall Creek in Henry Cowell State Park. Hope you get to get out here sometime. See you next time on Run With Us.